Dragon's Maze is generally considered one of the worst sets of all time, along with sets like The Dark, Prophecy, and Homelands. I happen to be deeply fascinated by sets like this because sometimes you may find something surprisingly useful, even if you have to dig through a mountain of trash to find it. So here are some of my favorite hidden gems of the ironically dragonless Dragon's Maze. In my nearly 10 years of experience playing Magic, the majority of creatures in any given 99 tend to be monocolored, regardless of color identity. That often means that your opponent's only multicolored creature is their commander, which, with this in mind, Renounce the Guilds and Offer the Guilds are severely underrated cards. Renounce the Guilds is an instant for 1 and a white that makes every player sacrifice a multicolored permanent, basically meaning for 2 mana you get rid of up to 3 things, usually the other player's commanders. All of this makes it very rarely a dead card in my experience, but your mileage may vary depending on your play group. Offer the Guilds, on the other hand, is never a dead card in any go-wide deck with red in it. There's almost never a board state where at least one player has almost entirely colorless or monocolored creatures. This card severely limits how your opponents can block in most games, and at its best, it can make your board completely unblockable to at least one player. The next card I'd like to personally recommend is Warp Physique. It's an instant for a blue and a black that gives a creature +X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. This one ability has merit as both a pump spell and a kill spell in the right deck. Personally, I think it's good for commanders like Dr. Octopus, Master Planner, Kamiz, Obscura Oculus, and Damia, Sage of Stone, just as a few examples. This next one's for those of you who built around gates. If your deck is 5-colored or at least runs red, Smelt Ward Gatekeepers is a pretty fun include. I'm personally a huge fan of teaching Voltron players that 21 commander damage from your own commander does in fact count as commander damage and in fact does kill you. Theft can be fun, even if it's just taking a value creature like Azusa Lost But Seeking for an extra land or two, or to snatch a combo piece from player A to lob at player B who has a huge creature to block it with. Just, please remember to have clean hands and handle other people's things with care when running cards like this. And always remember to handle other people's cards with respect, not greasy Cheeto fingers. Personally, I'm a firm believer that the best way to deal with a problem permanent, especially a commander, isn't just to kill it outright, but to make it functionally useless. If your deck has blue and green and you like cards like Witness Protection and Imprisoned in the Moon, then Crisis Incubation is the card for you. This enchantment costs 2, a blue and a green, and makes it to where the enchanted creature can't attack or block, or use its activated abilities. You can also pay 1, a green and a blue to return it to your hand, adding 2+1/+1 counters on the formerly enchanted creature. So, one of my friends has an Animar deck, and he has used this card to completely shut off a few of my commanders before. And if you keep up 3 open mana, this thing dodges removal. This next section is full of cards recommended from viewers in the comments of my last video in the series. Cloud Cover is an enchantment for 2, a white and a blue that lets you bounce a permanent back to your hand when it becomes targeted by a spell or an ability an opponent controls. This enables you to dodge removal or at least disincentivize messing with your stuff. It's also a May ability, so your opponents can't just bounce your stuff with a pump spell or something without your permission. This card is somehow only in 1,767 decks. Hecatomb is one of those cards you kinda just gotta build around. With the amount of recursion available to mono black, as well as a famously good selection of on-death triggers, I feel that sacrificing 4 creatures is a good enough upside for certain decks like Merkle Lord of Bones, or any black-heavy aristocrats or control build. This card has a lot of potential in the right deck, and the art on it is really cool. Parallel Thoughts is an enchantment for a 3 and 2 blue that's Oracle text reads, when this enchantment enters, search your library for 7 cards, exile them in a face-down pile, and shuffle that pile. Then shuffle your library. If you would draw a card, you may instead put the top card of the pile you exiled into your hand. In addition to being a fun way to tutor for a handful of cards, you can also use it to avoid decking out, since you can still pull from the pile even when it's empty. Lastly, I'd like to talk about a card I had no idea was even legal. Starlight Spectacular is probably the funniest combat trigger I've ever seen. The card reads, Parade! At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose creatures you control 1 at a time until each creature has been chosen. Each of those creatures gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature chosen before it. I love the idea of this card so much. It's one of the best and most flavorful Go Wide anthems I think I've ever seen. This card is an 8,788 dex, which is a lot more than what I usually talk about, but it's so weird and funny I just had to talk about it. Thanks for watching! What are some of your favorite lesser known cards? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, safe travels!